Good evening and welcome to the Thursday, January 20th, 2022 board meeting of the St. Tammany Parish School Board. Ms. Coakley, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Harrell.
Here.
Mr. Green. Ms. Height. Mr. Dermott. Mr. Luke. Here. Mr. Nation.
Here.
Mrs. Moore. Here. Mr. Winkler.
Here.
Mrs. Baker. Here. Mr. Bettencourt. Here. Mrs. Lamy. Here. Mr. Hersey. Mr. Rowe. Here. Mr. Kuzan. Mrs. Page. Here.
Thank you, Ms. Coakley. Please rise for the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Before we begin, we'd like to take a moment of silence for the Lousteau family.
Gracious Father, we commend to your gracious care in keeping this precious family, and we ask that you receive them into the arms of your mercy, into the blessed rest of everlasting peace, and into the glorious company of the saints in light. And now, Father, we ask that you be with us tonight, guide us in all our endeavors, that all our work, begun, continued, and ended in you, may find favor in your sight. And finally, by your mercy, may we each obtain everlasting life. This we pray through Christ our Lord. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have the recognition of visitors. Do any board members wish to have any visitors recognized? Mr. Bettencourt?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Harrell. While she's not a visitor, I want to recognize our newest board member tonight, Isabel Moore. Her volunteer work, you're out of order. Her volunteer work in the Lacombe area goes without saying. And as far as I'm concerned, the constituents, the voters, the parents, the students and the schools in District 7 are going to be well represented with Ms. Moore now as that school board member. And on behalf of the board, I want to present Isabel with a little token. I grew some peanuts this year, and this morning I boiled some, and I'm going to present them because sometimes it gets a little nuts around here.
Any other board members have anybody they'd like to recognize? Seeing none, let's move on to the superintendent update.
Thank you, Mr. Harrell. Board members, public, thank you for being here. First, I'd like to start off with just COVID numbers, if I could. Unfortunately, our safety team is dealing with some of the same things that all of us are dealing with. That's some COVID. So the numbers I'm going to give you typically run Thursday or Friday morning to Thursday evening. But to get the numbers done, I had to stop it yesterday at close of business. So this is only for a 4-day stretch rather than a 5-day stretch. Our positive numbers among students were 411 compared to 494 last year. But if you look at the numbers and if you added a day, it'd be very close to where we are right now. Quarantine for students was 2169 for this time this week. It was right at 1,800 last week. Employee positives, 139 employee positives. Again, that's 1 day short of what we normally give you. If you added 25% to that, 25%, you'd be about the same thing last week. We were at 171 and 62 quarantines, which is on par for 83 that we had last time. So these numbers are, again, they are high. We'll be the first one to admit that, and the whole team would be. Again, we're not at our highest point we were with Delta, but it is still very high. We're very hopeful to see the numbers hopefully start to come down in the next few days. I'm very hopeful. As I look at it, it looks like it's trying to come down in the state, but we're all susceptible to it. Right now, the entire parish of St. Tammany is sitting at about 33.8%, which is extremely high for the parish of St. Tammany. So we are monitoring those, and we're going to closely keep those under monitoring, and we will make adjustments if we need to, of course. Board members, if you don't mind, I'm going to go into something that's kind of been weighing heavy on me since Tuesday. I wasn't able to attend the meeting here Tuesday for the board member. It was because I was presenting at Bessie. So I went to Bessie. I was there for 7 hours because the meeting I was to attend was running about 2 hours late. And then the meeting that I was at went extremely long. So I sat there from just before noon to 7 o'clock. But I just want to kind of review just very quick. I'm going to try and make this as brief as I can, but I feel like it's fair that we're transparent and the public understands and this board understands where we are. So last April, Louisiana Key Academy, the dyslexia school, reached out and submitted an application to us. The first part of that process is to get a committee together to review that process. Once we review that application and take a look at it, then a third-party evaluator is brought in. And then if all that is clear, then we present it to the board, invite them in, and they do their presentation to the board. So in review of the application, their application was incomplete. Their application was lacking the assurance page, and the application was for a type 2 charter. I'm going to give everyone just a little brief education because I had to get one. So a type 2 charter is a charter school in which they have the authority to draw from students from across the state of Louisiana, not just St. Tammany Parish. They're supposed to, anybody that comes to us is supposed to come as a 1 or a 3. A 1 or a 3 means they have the authority to pull from just St. Tammany Parish. But Key Academy, they put in an application that drew from the entire state. This board cannot even hear a case of a charter that is a type 2 because we do not have the authority. This board does not have the authority to authorize students to cross district lines, parish lines. We don't have that authority. So in doing so, we rejected it. So Key Academy's recourse, of course, is to appeal that to Bessie. So I went back in November and I presented to Bessie of why we did not bring it forth to the board, why we didn't feel like it was applicable for to be appealed. And that was shot down very harshly. Let me just say it like that. So we fast forward. So Bessie hears the appeal of the Key Academy. So they scheduled that appeal. So to do my due diligence as a superintendent, I felt like it was fair and equitable to compare apples to apples. And apples to apples was to have the Students with Exceptionality Department through our accountability department reach out and pull all of our students in that were students of exceptionality, but had characteristics of dyslexia. So we felt it was very important that we see how have our students been doing on state assessment when it comes to accountability. So I did so. And I presented that to Bessie also. I sent that to them. So that was my primary justification when I went there. So I went there Tuesday and presented. And the facts of the case are, when you look at LEAP testing for the grades that they want to start as a 1 through 4 and build to a 1 through 8 school. When you look at the assessment index, when you look at 17-18 school year, we more than doubled their score. When you look at 18-19, we more than doubled their score. Of course, 20 was COVID. We did not have anything for that year. And then the 21 school year, we more than tripled their score. So I presented to Bessie on Tuesday these facts, along with the application being incomplete, and they applied for the wrong charter. They applied for a charter that we could not even hear. When I presented those facts to Bessie, my statement that I made was, we not only do it well in St. Tammany, we do it well and we do it better. When I made that statement, the crowd physically laughed. They laughed. I was there presenting on behalf of this school system, but on behalf of our students with exceptionality, teachers, tutors, interventionists, paras, and all of our staff that service all of our students with exceptionality. I was presenting to them because the facts are, if they want to talk about accountability and assessment, we destroy them. They are the third worst performing school in the state of Louisiana. We are number 18 in the state, and we are working very hard to improve our ranking. But when you look straight at assessment of common kids, common students, we outperformed them, and they laughed at us. They laughed at our employees. Then the Bessie board from that point forward did not ask me one question about accountability. They chastised me because it was my fault and this school system's fault that they submitted the wrong application. It was our fault that we didn't provide them with the right application, that we didn't reach out to them and counsel them and do that. These people are coming in to do business in St. Tammany. It would be one thing if we didn't service our children. If I stood before you here and say, we really struggle servicing our students with exceptionality, this is a problem, I could justify that. I really could. I could justify it. And maybe around the state, people don't do it as well as we do, but we do. And we take a lot of pride in what we do, a tremendous amount of pride. Our teachers take pride. We are accountable to our parents, to our school system, and to our community, and we do that. So with that being said, that Bessie board chastised me over and over. They treated me like no other superintendent. Like I said, I sat there all day. Many superintendents presented their case for different parts of charter schools. This was a meeting basically just for charters. And it was hard to take. It was very difficult to take. And this is it's a very touchy subject. Students that have characteristic dyslexia, those students, they're hurting. Their families are hurting. And Ms. Carrie Sue and our staff in our schools, we work very hard to work with these students to give them the accommodations and the support and the interventions. And that's what Ms. Gardner and I talk about many times is, are we providing the interventions that these students need to give them skills to be successful? But Bessie, they didn't want to hear that. They did not want to hear that. So after I finished, I sat down and numerous people came to the mic that spoke, and they were passionate. And I respect many of those people, parents, students from around the state, some from our district, some from other districts, some that already go to Key Academy, some are community leaders in the area. But after they spoke, they ruled 11-0, unanimous to do it, and to bring them to our parish. I have not heard from that group. They've never reached out to me. They've never asked to meet. They've never asked me, can we sit down and just talk about where we stand? What kind of kids or met with Ms. Gardner and said, servicing kids, what are we talking about? They didn't do any of that. And they still haven't done that. So where we move forward from this point, I'm really not sure. And I truly don't blame Key Academy, Louisiana Key Academy, their mission and their goals of servicing students with dyslexia. They have a passion for what they do, and I respect that completely. But it was the process. I went there to protect the process and to give the Bessie board data, which everything we do here in the school system for the educators out there is data driven. Our classrooms are run by data. We use it to assess our children, to see where we stand, where we need to grow, what we need to fix. So, I just thought it was the right time. I told the board members I wanted to get to inform this. It was too much to put in an email or communication with them. I mean, as you can see, it's too much to verbalize. I'd still be typing from Tuesday. So I just wanted to reiterate to this board that, I went there with the mission of information to them, giving the facts, reporting the facts, and representing the school district and the teachers and the staff that service our students with exceptionality. So I didn't know if anyone wanted to ask me anything, and I'll do my best to answer it.
Ms. Heinz?
I had spoken with Mr. Jabbia a couple of times about the application, and early, I don't know, in the summer, it seems like. And
Yes,
then I spoke to Ms. Gardner and Mr. Jabbia about a week or 2 weeks ago regarding it. And first of all, I want to thank you, Mr. Jabbia, for going up there Tuesday. I know it was a long day, and I appreciate you being there to discuss this. You know, there's a lot of things about this process that we need to look at as a board. And when I spoke with Ms. Gardner, she talked about all the services we provide for our students, and I wasn't aware how much we did. And I really did appreciate hearing what we do for our dyslexic students, as well as, you know, our other students, particularly what the interventionists do. I just wasn't so aware of all the roles they play in helping the children. The process is, there's got to be a fault here in the process. If they can turn in an application and it's an incorrect application, which we would have no other recourse but to reject it. And then Bessie would kind of circumvent all of that and make the decision for us. So, and then, you know, the funding, that's another important thing that we need to consider. So LSBA has apparently reached out to our school board, and I do appreciate that. And I think it's important that we're going to reevaluate what to do. I think we need to put this on an agenda for a committee meeting, because I think there could even be grounds for litigation with this. And I think it's just important to see the process. Like Mr. Jabbia said, I understand that these parents of the dyslexic students and the dyslexic students have a very difficult time, and we want to do everything we can to help them. I'm just not sure that this is the right way to go about it. And again, I appreciate that, and I hope that we'll get further information at a committee meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ms. Baker?
I also want to thank you, Mr. Jabbia. I know that had to be hard to take. If I would have been there and they would have started to laugh at our efforts and our educators, I think I would not have kept it together. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate your professionalism. But I can tell you from firsthand experience, I am a retired special educator. I am a special educator, language arts teacher. And the fact that people who are out of their wheelhouse made this vote when they didn't even care to hear what you had to say of what we offer. Now, I know personally what we offer. I have former students of which I remain in contact with who had a specific learning disability with a diagnosed impairment of dyslexia, who were war heroes, who are doctors. I have a student that is first-year med student who is dyslexic. So for anyone that has not walked in our shoes to tell us that we're not doing our job, I would just encourage you to go see our success stories. And the insult, the amount of work that our teachers put in is, you just can't imagine it. And if anyone's ever had the privilege of teaching a student who has a learning disability and who has conquered it and who has been able to own the world, it is the most rewarding thing. And so to all the teachers out there that are serving that population, I am, from the bottom of my heart, I am truly sorry that they made this very uninformed decision. And I can promise you that whatever I can do, I'll be on the front line to do it, because this is, I mean, I get you have a passion and maybe you've had a bad experience, but this school system, we offer free summer programs to our kids. We offer these modifications. We work with these. I took kids home with me to teach them how to read. So I think it's just best that they don't go down that alley with me. So Mr. Jabbia,
Thank you.
thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you, Ms. Baker.
Mr. Nation?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Jabbia, I want to echo again what I know we're all feeling and what Ms. Hines said. Thank you for going up there. When we selected you as superintendent, and I was privileged enough to be a part of that process, you know, I said at the time, and I've said since, that I said publicly to the press that no amount of money can buy the passion that you have for this school system and the passion for that, and the passion for this school system, and no outside person would ever have that. And that you confirmed what I believed by going up and suffering through what you did Tuesday. As the husband of a special education teacher for 25 years in the public school system, I take personal offense at anybody laughing at special education and special education teachers, because I know what my wife goes through on a day-by-day basis and what she has to face and has faced for a quarter of a century. All teachers have a special place in heaven, but special education teachers, you know, have a, if there is, I don't know if there's a more special place, but they go through things that that none of us can imagine, and the stress that they have to go through on a day-by-day basis. And they do it because they love children and they love serving families. This just reminds me that, as I've said, the cockamamie system we have, that in this state where we have to answer as a school board to this quasi-legislative entity called Bessie. I would just soon answer straight to the state legislature, because you've had now this group, and some of whom not all elected, they're appointed positions on this board, that have overruled a duly constituted school board. So it was not only laughing at our teachers, it was laughing in the face of the citizens of St. Tammany Parish. And we all disagree about things at times, but this board, and any board, whether it's us or Tangipahoa or East Baton Rouge, we are the duly constituted body to deal with matters of public education in a parish. So I want to say that. I also want to echo Mrs. Hines, and I think that I agree with her completely that LSBA has reached out to us. I think it's not to be accusatory, or because, like you said, the Key Academy, they've got the best of intentions, right? So, but we are all about process, and I do think we need to let LSBA, if we so choose, take the lead and just make sure that the statutory process was followed by the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education. If it was, then that serves the common good, doesn't it? I mean, so Key Academies, they did it right. We did, everybody did it right. If there's some issues there that come from that, then we, at that point, figure out what next steps we need to make. Again, just remind the public, it's Bessie who gave us Common Core. I mean, all the things that people dislike about public education have come from Baton Rouge. And so I hope that our state legislators will, and I think some of them are, starting to take a serious look at what role, if any, Bessie needs to play in public education. Either have local school boards and let us decide, or get rid of local school boards and let Bessie decide. But it seems silly to me to have this weird system where we have to answer, where one legislative body has to answer to this other, and not just strictly to the state legislature. But I'll save all that for another day. Again, thank you for going up there and representing the parish and the families we serve, and we serve well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nation. Ms. Lamy?
No. as I waited patiently. I'm just kidding. I want to start by saying, just from my perspective, and I haven't been in the classroom for several years since I retired, but in the public system. But I do feel like we need to get better at dyslexia therapy and trainings. I know we have some people are specially trained that we could maybe utilize, but I also was part of training teachers on some of our first initiatives from Project Lead the Way, Project Read, phonology, written expression, all of these things which were meant for students with dyslexia. And it was very beneficial. I saw a tremendous difference in my classrooms around our school. It was a huge improvement. And since then, we've had numerous new incentives. So I still would like to see us to become more specialized and have some, whatever. With that being said, there's nobody who could do it better than us, period. And I'm not saying that they don't have amazing teachers that are very specialized in their field, but I've had the opportunity to go into other schools now. And I will stand here and say always that our public school system and our teachers, every profession has, not everybody's 100%, but I feel like we have the hardest working, the most dedicated, above and beyond teachers, administrators, curriculum specialists, and we have the capability to do so much more than any charter school would do. So I don't believe that anybody could do it better than us. I think that everybody's always trying to improve in various areas. But the next thing I wanted to say is I really wish that you would have had some of us go along with you, because I will definitely send an email, because the disrespect that was shown to you is unacceptable. And if anybody's disrespected at one of these meetings, which I don't think is, but I feel the same way when it does happen, the fact that people would have laughed and they wouldn't have stopped that immediately and called out on that, the fact that they didn't ask you questions when you took your time, energy to, and their rules are different than our rules as far as responding. They could have asked you questions. You were there for a presentation on their agenda. And so that sheer disrespect is very frustrating. And so I'm definitely going to reach out, but I would hope in the future that you would bring your posse, because that's just not okay.
Mr. Bro.
Again, thank you for representing us up there. I guess the first question is, since they applied as a type 2, it never came before the board. So, and this is the first one that's come to our district. So I don't have a clue what a type 2 or type 1, type 3, what impact it has on our district. What do we have? What's it going to cost us? I have so many questions. So I would appeal to you, Mr. President, to put it on the agenda, even if it's just a discussion or a presentation, so that we can get educated on it. I don't really know what's going on. And then, was it approved as a type 2?
Bessie approved it unanimously
As a type 2.
Correct.
So it would not have come before this board anyway.
When they applied as Louisiana Key Academy North Shore, not St. Tammany. They applied as North Shore.
So it just happens to be positioned in our district.
Their intentions were to draw from Washington, Tangipahoa, St. Bernard, South Shore. Their intentions are to draw from all of us.
So in reality, they should have been, all of these surrounding districts should have been represented up there in the Bessie board as
And
well.
when I went to the
But again, I don't know
meeting,
what the impact is on our district or their districts or anything. So if you could educate
we'll do
us
it.
at the next meeting.
we'll do it, and I'll have Ms. Prevost work on the numbers so that you can see per pupil what the impact is.
All right,
Yes, sir.
thank you.
No problem.
Mr. Luke.
Yes, real quick. When I was president of this board and went to Bessie meetings in Baton Rouge, the key member of Bessie was Chaz Romer. The president of the Charter School Association is Caroline Romer, his sister. You won't know how many times we put on a heck of a presentation, school board, LSBA, and so like that, and get turned down for the Charter School Association. Thank you.
Seeing no additional questions, Mr.
If I could just
Javi, you wanna
close one
finish it
thing.
up?
Yeah, I just want to remind everyone that school will be remote tomorrow, distance learning. I try to keep these terms straight because we try to keep virtual to just what the virtual is, and we use the homebound in that. So we will be distance learning tomorrow. You know, the first thing we thought about was transportation, because it had to be addressed with the weather, because the last thing we're going to do is create a situation that is unsafe. So thanks, everyone, and we appreciate all you do, and I hope my passion came out. I try to relay that message to them, but thanks to all the teachers out there. Thanks for tomorrow, and we look forward to doing what we need to do so that we do not have to make up another day or add minutes, because again, that would be the last thing we'd want to have to do. So.
Thank you, Mr. Jabby. A quick question. You mentioned transportation tomorrow being icy. Mr. Dermott mentioned last week in the committee as a whole meeting, maybe looking at something we can do for those that are running extra routes.
Right.
Do you think you could get with your team, find something out you can do? We can move on it expeditiously?
Yeah, based on what Mr. Dermott said last time, we've already started kind of looking at that and seeing if we could do something maybe to model what we're talking about later with midday run. So we would love to talk about that a little bit further and get the impact from George, Mr. Bodie, on how many routes we're talking about that are covered on average. That way we could quantify that with a number. That way this board, you guys could help me to make sure that that's okay and see what we can do there and move forward. So we'll definitely take a look at that.
Thank you so much. I know
you.
they'll appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Up next, board members, in December, I asked our principals and supervisors to please nominate any employee that they thought deserved recognition for serving and volunteering in their community so that we could honor them tonight with this quarter's President Award. Ms. Troyer, the principal at Honey Island Elementary, nominated Ms. Danielle Nicole Black. Ms. Troyer stated that Ms. Black created the nonprofit organization Crown Me Foundation, in which she mentors girls and young women in the community. Some of the programs offered through her foundation include Girls Night Out, Pampered with a Purpose, and others. She has collected items for women's shelters and recently hosted an event at Heritage Park where children in the community came and made crafts, did a Build-A-Bear, and other fun activities. Ms. Black is an inspirational person, and that her goal is to inspire others to care for and get involved in their communities. In addition to being a second grade teacher at Honey Island Elementary in Slidell, she is also a certified life coach, author, motivational speaker, model, certified fitness instructor, and makeup artist. Ms. Black and her Crown Me Foundation board are on the front lines of restoring femininity, self-love, self-worth, mental and emotional health in our communities and building stronger families. I am pleased to introduce you to Ms. Danielle Nicole Black, and with her tonight is her sons Carter and Connor. Would you like to say a few words? The boys were supposed to do the pledge and invocation tonight. We could do that again if they want to still do it. And I think I missed somebody in the back corner. Thank you so much for joining us.
Mr. President, there's one more thing that we forgot, Mr. President. She's also working on her doctorate.
Congratulations.
Thank you all so much for acknowledging my efforts to serve through Crown Me Foundation. And I was listening to everything that you all said, and there is no better place that I would rather work to be a teacher than to serve in this parish. So thank you all so much. And I carry my pom-poms everywhere I go because this is such a tough time for all of us in our professions, in our families. It's such a hard time. And so I just want to cheer everybody on and bring some joy. Everybody needs a cheerleader. And so that's what I'm here for. And my mission is to educate young girls and women to eradicate the toxicity that exists in our communities, because we don't know what we don't know. And it doesn't matter how many letters you have behind your name. We are not taught how to do relationships and how to gain healthy relationships And so that is my mission, that is my purpose, to eradicate the toxicity and build stronger families while educating our children in second grade at Honey Island. So thank you all so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Black. We're lucky to have you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, and one more thing. I come bearing gifts. Whenever I go out in the community and serve women and girls, I give them a crown that they can wear all the time. So I bought crowns for all the women on the board tonight, and I have bags for the men. Of course, I know you don't want to be bejeweled. And I also have cups because this is a giving organization. This is a feel-good organization. So I come bearing gifts.
Thank you so much.
You deserve one.
Thank you so much. Thank goodness we have someone who feels bad for me. Thank goodness.
We all feel bad for you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're too much. Thank you so much. You may have missed me for a cup. That's fine. I'll put that right there.
I just want to say one thing. Am I out of order? The
No, go ahead.
boys' smiles when you were being introduced and talked about just gave me chills because y'all are very proud of your mom, aren't you? And everything that she does for the community, you should be. You're blessed to have her for a mama.
Thank you so much.
Ms. Black, thank you so much.
Mr. Jabby, do you want to go ahead and move on to item B, School Board Member Recognition Month?
Well, it's School Board Recognition Month, and Ms. Black just stole, all I have for you guys is a certificate. So that was perfect planning, was it not? Thank you, Mr. Harrell, for making that happen.
You're welcome.
But it is School Board Recognition Month, and I'd like to take this opportunity. School board members, you'll find in your packets a certificate from the administration staff that was created by Ms. Coakley. Our school system wants to take this opportunity to recognize and express our extreme appreciation and gratitude for each one of our board members. Your dedication and commitment to the students and employees is priceless, and each of you go the extra mile to ensure that education in our work environment is top priority of the school system. Please accept these certificates as a sign of our appreciation and gratitude for all that you do for St. Tammany Parish every day. But again, thanks to every one of you. Thank you for your service. Thanks for all you do for me and the support you provide this community. If everyone would please join me in a round of applause for our board members. Thank you all very much. We appreciate you guys very much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate the kind words. We've got the public comments, 3 minutes. First sign up is Mr. Brant Osborne.
Good evening, board members. Welcome, Ms. Moore. With all this explosive inflation, you may want to check the economic value of those peanuts. It might have put you over the top there. But I appreciate all of you and welcome. It was a nice field. the other night. I did pick Miss Moore. I thought she was strong, but it was a great field. So thank you for that process. I'll say this. I mean, I know things have been tough and there's been a lot of tension, but I do appreciate the sense of urgency. There's no question Superintendent Jabby is a man of passion, and you know he loves this district. There's no question. I'm the type of person that can separate the individual from the title that they hold, and I just hold people to a high standard. And I know everybody here is the same. I hold myself to a high standard. And so my goal is just to offer what I think are things that will help this system, remembering always that he inherited a lot of this. He's bringing his own game. He's bringing his own personality. But there are a lot of things here that I think are tripping us up. Imagine if instead of being at odds with one another, we all started working together in July. I'm convinced that the resources that I can bring and the network I can bring, working together with management in conjunction with expertise of the board, we would have been in a much better position. We don't have a time machine, and here we are. I started to look at what creates all of this, what creates the situation. Ms. Lamey said something, it's not people, last week, and I thought about that. So I started looking at the policy manual. I'd like to share something from 2017. Right before some of the first timers got in here, there was a whole raft of policies that were passed that I think are a part of this picture that prevents us from moving forward successfully as a district. This is policy BBD, School Board Superintendent Relations. The school board has no greater responsibility than that of establishing good working relationships with the superintendent. So think about that. This is an elected body with constituents in key districts around this great parish that we all live in, and I hope all love. The school board has no greater responsibility than that of establishing good working relationships with the superintendent. Failure to meet this responsibility results in disruption of the educational program of the parish and poor community attitudes about the schools. Unless harmony based on mutual trust and understanding exists, a good educational program cannot be developed for the children of the parish. And I just categorically believe that's false. You can't just strive for harmony. You've got to have accountability. I mean, and it's just getting in the way. And so like I said about Ms. Gia, she has empathy and compassion, but she's also tough. And that's the kind of balance I'm looking for. I want Frank to be successful. I'm sorry, Superintendent Jabby to be successful. Thank you for your time and attention.
Up next, we have Ms. Stephanie Letchel. I'm gonna butcher it every time, Stephanie. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Stephanie Ledier, 7-year owner-operator. I usually have a well-prepared speech, but I'm going to kind of wing it a little bit. First, I want to say I'm not here to make waves, not a disgruntled employee, but the fact is, me and all of the people like me, all the people you see behind me, if we don't come to these board meetings and tell you what you don't know, we will never get anywhere. I sent an email to all board members on November 15th and our superintendent. And basically the outline of it was the need for consideration and what they can do to address operational increase, which has not been altered since 1986. I indicated the benefit that it would be to address the situation with the drivers. Don't let it go quiet and silent, because when you don't say anything, people lose hope. What happens when they lose hope? They quit, they early retire, and we're in a far worse situation than we were in even November. Our superintendent did respond to me, and I had great hopes. He thanked me for reaching out and that they are working on some possibilities. But what happened after that? Nothing. I heard nothing. What I really wanted was some outreach from the superintendent, from the board, from somebody to give the drivers some hope that we're heard. Everyone knows what the situation is, and we know it's a long process. We know it'll take a while, that something is at least being thought about, done, considered. But that did not happen. A lot of people lost hope, and it's a chain reaction. It's a trickle effect, and it's still happening. All right, jumping on to something else. Let's talk about coverage. I've been covering for another driver since Friday morning. The evenings, my bus for high school are a lot fuller. one afternoon, my bus was so full, I had kids standing. We cannot drive with kids standing. They're not sitting on the floor. I did what I had to do. I called in. I was instructed by our office to remove the 5 students. Another bus would come along. Everything was worked out. When I made the announcement, instead, I made the announcement for a very specific bus stop to get off to make the other driver's job easier. What happened was, instead of 5 students, the 5 that I instructed to get off, 15 of the kids from the other bus jumped up and ran because it's a field day. This is what kids do. They don't think about following instructions, so forth. In my head, I'm thinking this is going to cause a problem, which I found out later on. The other bus driver pulls up, unaware. He was almost at capacity himself, because we all are. He didn't have room for all of them. What resulted was he had 5 students, which I needed to get rid of 5 students. Now he has 15. He had to have 5 students get off the bus, and he told them, call your parents. We did what we could. I want to thank you for your time, but the coverage is a situation. It is an issue. It does need to be addressed. We're doing our best. Transportation's doing their best. Everyone is really working hard, but it needs to be taken care of and taken seriously. Because we love our jobs and we need to make it work.
Up next, we have Ms. Barbara Sharp.
Tonight I have questions for the board members. Who are you working for? Were you elected by the voters in your district? Or are you doing what you feel the parents and the children and the staff in your district need? If you were appointed by the current school board, what are you doing to find out what the parents and children and school staff need? What is your input in proposals that are presented regarding transportation? Where do you get your information? How do you make your informed decisions? At board meetings, very little information is exchanged regarding transportation. Very few questions are asked. When you make suggestions, you are interrupted with, that will be handled in collective bargaining, or maybe we will discuss that with Mr. Osborne in our monthly meeting, which in fact has only happened once this year, this week. Which in fact is not once a month. When you have input or questions, do you ever check with the parents and teachers or even voters in your district? How do you follow up on concerns that are brought up in public comments? What have you done to find out how parents are responding to the transportation questionnaire or union questionnaire? Are you even concerned? If you are not concerned, shame on you. If you are, what are you doing to make make sure that management is correcting the situation? When was the last real-time transportation report was given and discussed? I mean, other than new hires, which were not even significant enough to cover resigns and retirees. The last one I heard, well, I guess I didn't hear it because the associate superintendent jumped in and informed information on tracking children or some other topic to override anything Mr. Bodie could say. Is that disrespect? When was the last time there was a serious discussion about where transportation department is headed? Have you approved the purchase of, you have approved the purchase of buses and they continue to lease buses, but what is management's plan? Do you really believe in tracking system for students will solve missing children problems? Maybe drivers that know their routes, know their children, know the addresses where they live is a better solution. On the other hand, if you have programs and IDs that scan children getting on the bus, parents and other concerned citizens can request those public records to see if you're overloading buses. Shame on you for letting the system get to this point.
Thank you, Ms. Sharp. Up next, we have Ms. Kara Pearson.
Hey, I'm nervous. I've never talked in front of a group of people like this before. My name is Kara Pearson. I'm a driver since 2008. When I was 22 years old, I decided to embark on my journey of becoming an owner-operator. My husband is self-employed, and I knew health insurance and retirement would be a good thing. We are living off a 1986 operational pay scale with now inflated prices. Let me give you some examples. A new bus in 1986 was $28,500. Now it is $89,000. That is a basic bus. A bus with AC is $99,500. I have receipts to prove the following. From 2002, a front tire was $175. Now it is $400. 4 rear tires was $991. Now it's $2,200. Rotella oil, $15.40, as of 2002 was $6.27. Now it's $17.99. You gave out stimulus checks to all your employees, which I'm very thankful for. But by the time it hit my bank, it was $800, which there's nothing you can do about that. But all your other employees that are in the system got to do whatever they wanted with that extra. We put it in the bank for the next breakdown because we literally can't keep doing it. Y'all, I couldn't keep doing this if it wasn't for my husband. And I love my job. I bought a bus at 22 years old. I mean, I don't know. It just, we need your help. Y'all know that. I mean, it was there. It could have been passed. And for some reason it was shot down. And I can't understand that. You know, I mean, y'all see the inflation, y'all see what we're doing, but I don't understand how y'all expect us to keep doing it. Especially people that don't have a spouse like I do. I'm blessed. I really am. But I mean, I have to upgrade in 4 years. I have no choice. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not interested in driving a bus that y'all own. When I get behind my bus, I know my bus. Something happens, I pull over immediately. I call my husband. I just heard this noise. Something is wrong. Immediately, because I know it. I know that bus like the back of my hand. Drive it every day. You could ask me anything about my bus and I could tell you. One of y'all buses, I'm not going to know that. Nobody's not. I mean, you're just not. So please help us somehow. I mean, there's 340 of us left. It's not a lot. And I mean, our salary, I'm not here complaining about salary. I think you pay me my worth. I want help maintaining my bus so I don't have to use my salary to keep my bus on the road. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pearson. Up next, we have Ms. Rhonda George.
Hi, Rhonda George. Thank y'all for listening to us today. As you can see, we have a lot of bus drivers here today to kind of go about what Ms. Carroll was saying back there. I've been out since December. I just got back. Had a funeral today. Still did my job. My bus broke down. I'm in a rental bus since December. It's $6,000 to fix my bus. It's something that breaks down on every bus. So we have to deal with these prices and what we have to deal with. You guys have to help us come along with this. Y'all, we're not getting a raise. We was told that the millage, if it passes, we're going to get a raise. I told a lot of people, look, if this millage passes, we're going to get a raise. You guys got to help us out. Give us that raise that we're entitled to. Owner operators are out there. We know each and every one of our kids. I can tell you when I first started driving, I got kids that'll say, hey, Miss Rhonda, from way, way back, long time ago. They'll come and tell me, hey, how am I doing if I see them in town or whatever. We have that respect with our kids and the kids have respect for us. If we're jumping from bus to bus, we're not going to get all the respect that we deserve, but we need respect from the board members who don't know what we need. We need help with Operation Pay. All of us are here. We need help. If my front end, my brake drums, I needed new brake drums. They used to be $250 each. I paid $1,100 for them. That was 2 years ago. I bought brake drums for my other bus. Now I need brake drums for my bus, and it went up that much. You guys, the prices are going up. Y'all know it. A gallon of milk is going up. Bread is going up. Bread's $3 a loaf. We need help. If we don't ask for help, I know we're not going to get it, but we definitely need help. If y'all can give us a little bit of help, well, no, a lot of help, we'd appreciate it. In everything we do, we appreciate y'all. Please appreciate us. We're tired of bus driver, owner, operators saying that they're retiring because they don't have the funds. They don't have the funds to do what they have to do with their buses, to make their buses run properly. We need that. We need everything that y'all can give us. We need that help. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. George. Up next, we have Ms. Melissa Farmer.
Hi, Melissa Farmer. I've been an employee for 22 years, a bus driver for 14. Last year, I had a breakdown to the tune of $6,000. My fuel was $6,000. That's $12,000 right there. At that time, my operational was not very much more. So then I had to choose what maintenance I was going to do on my bus if I didn't dip into my salary. I used to be very fortunate, like Kara, who had a husband who had 2 jobs, who, whenever things went bad, we had the money to go ahead and fix. I don't have that anymore. My husband is disabled and draws in $704 a month for disability retirement from the school board. That's it. So my entire everything had to change. I'm one of the lucky ones. I don't have a bus note. If I would have had a bus note last year, I'd have went under completely. I wouldn't be here. Wouldn't be here to speak. I wouldn't be driving a bus because I couldn't afford to keep it on the road. It would have been repoed because I wouldn't have had the money to pay the bus note, because I'm not going to go without electricity. I'm not going to go without food. And I'm not going to go without medication for my husband or myself or my family. We need the help with the operational pay. It's something's got to be done because there are more of me out there who are working as a bus driver because we love the job. And I love my job. I love my job so much that I drive a special needs bus and have regular ed children who want to get on my bus because I'm the bus driver that is always there. Always. And we all are always there. And if, like Kara said, if we're driving a bus that you own and we don't know where we're going, number one, we don't know our kids. Number two, we don't know where they go. And we have to learn a whole new thing all over again. Story real quick. Back in, still driving my big bus, a kid walked home from school from Abney. I got a phone call asking me about the child, and I could tell you exactly what she had on with the uniform, whether she was in shorts or a skirt.
Thank you, Ms. Farmer.
Everything.
Up next, we have
That's
Mr.
what we
Willie
need.
Farmer.
doing? Most of y'all know who I am. I spoke to y'all back in December. I asked about the computers with the covers and the charges. Y'all said get in touch with the representative. I've contacted 2 of them. One of them have responded. You know what he was told when he asked about where the money was going that I asked, which is over $600,000 a year, which is over $2 million in 4 years? They just looked at him and said, it's none of your concern. Basically is what they told him in his face. Okay, that's over $2 million in 4 years. Where is it going? Okay, it's told the next answer was, we can't meet the deductible. I know there's a meat processing plant and a garage that burned down. It's over at least 5 years on a processing center at Pearl River High. There was a garage burned down over 10 years ago at North Shore High School. What happened to replacing the buildings? What happened to replacing the meat center? The meat center was part of the kids' life in Pearl River forever, since it's existed. The shed at North Shore bought a brand new over $20,000 tractor. It's left out in the weather every day because there's no room for a shed because the shed burned down. The slab is there. That's all you do is put a building on it. Put a carport on it. Put sides on it, fence it in, whatever. Instead, you got a piece of $20,000 equipment sitting outside because we were told, which was my boss, Mr. Jabier, he knows. He was told, we don't have the money. Well, if we're self-insured, when do we meet that deductible? Who are we paying $600,000 to for insurance? That's over $2 million in 4 years. And ain't nothing been replaced from the meat center to the garage that burned. And we got computers now, and it's taking $2 million to insure these notebooks or computers. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Farmer. Moving on to agenda item 4, to consider and take action with respect to adopting a resolution advertising for bids for the purchase of general obligation school bonds, Series 2022 of St. Tammany Parish-wide School District Number 12 of the Parish of St. Tammany, State of Louisiana, and providing for other matters in connection therewith. Thank you, Mr. Nation. Do I have a second? Thank you, Mr. Betancourt. Do we have any comments from the public? Seeing none, any questions from board members? Ms. Terry's here. Ms. Prevost? Seeing none, everyone please vote. And that motion passes 11 yeas, 0 nays. Item B, to consider and take action with respect to adopting a resolution authorizing the incurring of debt and issuance of general obligation school bonds, Series 2022 of St. Tammany Parish-wide School District Number 12 of the Parish of St. Tammany, State of Louisiana, and providing for other matters in connection therewith. Thank you, Mr. Nation. Thank you, Ms. Heinz, for the second. Do we have any comments by the public? Seeing none, any questions from board members? Seeing none, everyone please vote. And that motion passes unanimously. Item C, approval of the minutes for the regular meeting held on December 9th, 2021. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Ms. Baker. Do I have a second? Thank you, Ms. Page. Any comments by the public? Any questions from board members? Everyone please vote. And that motion passes unanimously. Item D, approval of minutes for the special meeting held on December 16th, 2021. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Ms. Baker. Do I have a second? Thank you, Mr. Luke. Any comments by the public? Seeing none. Any questions by board members? Everyone, please vote. And that motion passes unanimously. Item E, approval of minutes for the special meeting held on December 16th, 2021. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Ms. Heinz. Do I have a second? Thank you, Mr. Betancourt. Do we have any comments by the public? Any? E. Yes, ma'am.
The screen kind of jumped, but I believe where I saw the increase for midday runs, was that on there, right past B? It's no longer on screen.
It's coming.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make a statement on. Should I wait?
Yes, ma'am.
Wait?
Ms. Barrios.
This actually applies to all of the approval of the minutes. Since they're not attached, the draft or whatever you call it is not attached to the agenda, there's really no way for the public to know whether they have a comment or not. Those become a permanent record. So if they're inaccurate, it's very important that they be accurate. So I'll request that in the future you put those minutes on the agenda for the public to see. Thank you.
One was bids, Ms. Lamy, and one was appeals. Yes. Yes, E, yes. Oh, do I have board questions? Seeing none, everyone please vote. We have 10 yeas and 1 abstention. Item F, the appropriate retirement resolutions for the following certificated personnel subsequent to December 9th, 2021. Mr. Kosei.
Thank you, President Harrell, Superintendent Jabbia, Board, and Public. The appropriate retirement resolutions on the following certificated personnel subsequent to December 9th, 2021 meeting. Peter C. Canizero, Covington High, 28.92 years, 13.41 years in St. Timothy Parish. Melissa B. Eitman, Honey Island Elementary, 19.89 years, 18.26 years in St. Timothy Parish. Mary B. Bartell, Lake Harbor Middle, 19.66 years, 7.91 years in St. Timothy Parish.
Thank you, Ms. Kosei. Ms. Lamy, thank you for the motion. Do I have a second? Thank you, Ms. Baker. Do we have any comments by the public? Ms. Barrios?
Lee Barrios, retired teacher. And looking at the numbers of retirements and resignations, I took a quick look at the employee vacancy list published on the website. The most recent employment vacancy report listed 39 schools with vacancies. The majority with multiple vacancies, with Salmon having the most with 8 vacancies. So it's not just a substitute problem when current teachers are out absent. It's a lack of qualified teachers at all in so many schools. And the problem is statewide. When the annual class report was presented last week, it only reflected the students assigned to each teacher. It didn't account for the class sizes that happened many days because of COVID in which a number of high school teachers have reported to me as multiple classes being sent to the gymnasiums where a substitute or a teacher on her planning period supervised them all. I know that was never considered when the state law and policy was written with the purpose of keeping classes to a manageable and effective size, but it is a reality. One of the many problems created when that happens is the accountability system, my favorite subject, and its teacher evaluation system, which also doesn't account for situations like this. In my opinion, the state should be just as accountable for teacher retention and recruitment as local school districts and the quality of those teachers. Instead, Bessie voted Tuesday, as they do every year, to give Teach for America $350,000 to recruit and retain new college grads with 5-week training, and the legislature provide another $500,000. If more attention were given by Bessie and LDOE to providing needed services and quality curriculum and support than it gives to a screwball accountability system, this district and this state would show its true higher performance. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barrios. Board members, did anybody else have any questions? Seeing none, everyone please vote. And that motion passes unanimously. Item G, appropriate retirement resolutions for the following employee support services personnel subsequent to December 9th, 2021. Mr. Kosei.
Thank you, Mr. Harrell. Again, I bring you item G, appropriate retirement resolutions on the following employee support services personnel subsequent to the December 9, 2021 meeting. Janet R. Clark, Monteleon Junior High, 19.50 years, all in St. Tammany Parish. Deborah W. Weeks, Slidell High, 19.38 years, all in St. Tammany Parish. Candy W. Lozana, Transportation Center, 20.38 years, all in St. Tammany Parish. Annette G. Boudreau, Transportation Center, 29.83 years, all in St. Tammany Parish. And Suzanne C. Bowman, Transportation Center, 21.76 years, all in St. Tammany Parish.
Thank you, Mr. Kosei. Thank you, Mr. Betancourt. Thank you for the second, Ms. Lamy. Do we have any comments by the public? Seeing none. Questions from board? Seeing none, everyone please vote. And that motion passes unanimously. Up next is the approval of recommendations from committee as a whole for the Finance and Administrative held on January 13th, 2022. Mr. Nation.
Thank you, Mr. President. First recommendation from this committee meeting on January 13th is to recommend authorization of Superintendent Jabbia and/or Board President Harrell to purchase 3.25 acres located at 325 Highway 1077, Madisonville, St. Tammany Parish, Louisiana.
Thank you, Ms. Baker, and thank you, Ms. Heinz. Do we have any comments by the public? Seeing none, any questions from board members? Everyone please vote. And that motion passes unanimously.
Item B, tonight we recommend rejection of all bids submitted for the site improvements Phase 2 at Pearl River High School STPSB project number P0246 because all bids submitted are over the amount budgeted for the project.
Mr. Winkler, thank you for the motion. Do I have a second? Thank you, Ms. Baker. Do we have any comments by the public? Seeing none, any questions from board members? Mr. Bro.
Yes, I meant to ask during the committee meeting, what is the goal forward at this point? We're going to resubmit, we're going to scale back the project. What in particular are we planning?
We're going to regroup on it and also just No, we didn't get very much interest, I think, from bidders, and so we'd like to maybe hope for seeing some change in the bid market a little bit, some more interest from subcontractors and contractors for some work. And right now, everybody just seems to be pretty saturated.
Okay,
So
so
we're
we're
just
just
gonna
planning
watch.
on rebidding same project?
We will be changing the project some. We'll have to, just by law, when you are over budget, you need to make some changes to bring it into budget relative to what you've seen in the market. And we may also look at raising the budget some as well, but we will be regrouping on this and getting it back out for bid.
Okay,
at some
thank you.
point. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Bro. Seeing no more questions, everyone please vote. And that passes unanimously.
And Mr. President, the last item the committee brings before the board tonight is to recommend acceptance of an increase to midday run salary for bus owner operators beginning January 3, 2022, and I so move.
Thank you for the motion. Do I have a second? Thank you, Mr. Luke. Ms. Stephanie?
Excuse me, I need to correct some information. I had
Okay,
a
yes, sir.
senior moment at the committee meeting, and I looked down and I reversed two of the numbers. So if I would, I'm going to read you the correct information, what the number should be. The current salary schedule approved by the board allows bus owner operators to be paid for midday runs at 25 one-way and 50 for two-way. That's the current. The administration, with the approval of the Federation, would like to request this pay to be increased to 45 for one-way and 75 for two ways. This is an 80% increase one way and a 50% increase for two ways. This change would be retroactive back to January 3rd if approved, and my apologies for the mistake last week.
Not a problem at all. And I believe last week you probably had a birthday, huh? So it is a, sorry we missed it. Ms. Stephanie.
As you can probably hear behind me, apparently the numbers seem to be different from what they recall, but that's not why I wanted to stand up. I wanted to say that while this is an excellent move in the right direction, it will greatly benefit the owner operators that are going to benefit from this. But I wanted to make sure the board is aware that it affects a very, very small pool of our drivers. If you are lucky enough to get a midday, it is a blessing to you, but they are very few and in between. So there's still a lot of work to be done. I just want to make sure y'all are aware that this, isn't a great step in curing our issues. It's a good step in the right direction, but it does affect a very small portion of drivers. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Osborne.
Board President Harrell, if I could be recognized as Federation President, just in case anybody has any questions. I want to give some context on the process and to echo some of what Ms. Stephanie says, but it's your call. I could just be a citizen or the president, either one.
I was just using your name, but go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Out of all the things that we've done to communicate the need for this, and we've had some amazing speakers tonight, our employees always blow me away with their eloquence and their just groundedness and how much they care. And so to echo what Ms. Stephanie said, even though some people are appreciative of this, this is not what we need. I didn't get a chance to mention it, neither did Superintendent Jabby. I did turn over a proposal for operational pay, and I wanted to let everybody know that. The reason I've called for all these types of negotiations to be in open meetings, I just think it would be more transparent, be more accountability, things would be faster. And that's what I want. I just want solutions that'll work to help these hurting people. They want to help these kids and they want to stay in this system, but some of them just financially cannot do it. And so of course tonight, let's pass this, but hopefully we can get that done. And I did something I'm not trained to do. I just turned my proposal over. We didn't do negotiations as far as that piece. I just handed it over because of the sense of urgency I'm feeling. So I'm just praying that it will lead to a good result. Thank you.
Sure, Mr. Ledier.
Mr. Osborne did turn over his proposal, and it was a complete rework of the operational, and we are evaluating that. As he knows, it was a pretty lengthy proposal and very very detailed. So we are going through that at this point.
Thank you, sir. Any additional comments from the public? Seeing none, any questions from board members? Go ahead. We'll go back to public comment.
Melissa Farmer. Mr. Jabia, I just want to thank you for acknowledging that y'all are going through it. I know it's a lengthy process and I know it's going to take time, but I do appreciate the fact that you were letting us know that y'all are going through it. That is a great step in the right direction. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Farmer. Board members, Ms. Lamy?
I know it's getting repetitive because I feel like I've been making comments on this for over a year. And I know that I don't know all the details and how the workings go, and I've been told that every time I speak. But I need to say again how important I believe this is, just from my personal experience as a teacher and as a child on a bus. Knowing the bus driver does what a teacher does on the bus like we do in our classroom. It is more than just transporting. And I think that we've seen that when we're having such shortages and having to, and Mr. Bodie, you like are a magician pulling rabbits out of hats and stuff to make it work. And I'm grateful for that. But we know that when we just put somebody on the job to get the job done, there are a lot of things that can happen in that process. And that's why it's happening. We're short and we're losing good people. And for people to be coming for this long, we have to do something. We cannot keep just pushing it off. We have got to act and do something. That's it.
Mr. Bro?
Yes, it was brought up that there are not that many of these. And Ms. Prevost, if you don't have the information, that's fine, but I know you do because you always have what I need. How does this affect the budget, and how many of these trips actually take place in a year?
I can't tell you the exact trips, but I projected the cost to be like $250,000 for the increase.
For just the increase?
For a year,
And
based
that
on
is
what I saw from
what we
last year.
talked about, just to be clear, when we had at the committee meeting, I think the numbers were 50 and 75.
Yes, sir,
And
that's
now
where I misread them.
The bid here is 45 and 75.
Correct. I just looked down and misread it. I should have read it, so I apologize.
45 and 80 or 45
45 and 75 is the
Okay.
new. One
All
way,
right.
45, 75 for 2
All right,
years.
thank you.
Plus they do get mileage. So, yep, sure.
Mr. Harrell? I'm sorry.
Mr. Jett?
It was 45 and 75, you just misread it. Mr. Osborne can vouch to that's what he signed off on.
He just did.
Well, he didn't announce it to any of them.
Oh.
So, you know.
No, he just did.
Yeah, he just acknowledged to you. Very good, Brad. Thank you.
Ms. Hines?
I just want to say, Terry, that you must have said that at some point because that's what I have written down in my notes from last week.
I think I said it at one time. And I missaid it another time. We
Okay,
listened to the
But like I
tape.
say, that's what I had in my notes.
I just wanted to correct so everybody understood.
Thank
So
you.
thank you.
Seeing no more additional comments, everyone please vote. And that motion passes unanimously.
And Mr. President, that concludes our report.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nation. All right, our announcements are, there will be a special board meeting immediately following this meeting for expulsion appeals. The February committee as a whole meeting will be held on Thursday, February 3rd. The February board meeting will be held on Thursday, February 10th. And this meeting is adjourned.